let's see. What are we watching today? This is called Bonnard. Yes, just Bonnard by Skira Flag Films, Universal Education and Visual Arts. Publication date 1965. So I don't really know what they're talking about here. Bonnard, it seems like this is a person's name who I should know, but I will just say off the bat that I have no idea who this is, or if this is even a person to begin with. So I think we have lots to learn about this time around. So I think that's it, right? Nothing else. It says nothing else. Yeah, 1965. So let's just get into it. Universal Education and Visual Arts presents Bonnard. Yeah, again, so I think we're talking about somebody specifically here. I'm going to look really foolish in a few minutes when it's obvious who we're talking about. But I'm just, again, before we even get started, I'm trying to figure out what this program was even made for. Okay, Pierre Bonnard. All right, so yeah, definitely a French person. Dude, this has the same, like, sad music that all of these have. I know I talk about this a lot, but it really is. It just adds a whole nother, like, level to watching this sort of stuff. Oh, and the credits are in French. Présenté par. All right, so, or at least, that might not be French. That might be something else, actually. But we are definitely not in English. Une production. Yeah, we're in French. I really hope this is at least intelligible to me. Commentaire et voix. So the voice of commentary is Jean Bazian. I don't know if I'm saying that. I feel like I'm just embarrassing myself now. The scenario. So what does that even mean? Like, is that the writer, the scenario? Who comes up with the scenario? That's just a funny credit to me. The images, so I think these are the photographers, and then the effects special, these special effects. Équipe Arcadie. So that must be a company. Release par Loro Venturi. I think this is like realized by, so directed by maybe Loro Venturi. Okay, we just held on a shot of this tree for like a good 10 seconds again, which is, again, not bad. That's part of the old editing style. And in fact, I actually like that. I like that it was almost like a palate cleanser. Like it feels like we're watching something new again.
Pierre Bonnard was born in 18...
Oh, thank God it's in English. I was so worried this was going to be in French. That's so funny. So all the credits were in French or whatever language they were in, but it's actually shot and filmed in English, or recorded in English, I should say. I wonder if it was intended to be in English or if this is like a dub.
Pierre Bonnard was born in
Pierre Bonnard,
1867.
1867, okay.
A year when the Impressionists were as yet unknown to the public.
Impressionists. So I guess this is probably going to be an artist, it feels like.
Spending an idyllic childhood in the family home in his heir.
Wow, look at this house. This is just such a regular, normal house. Is this in France? I don't know what I expected French countryside houses to look like, but this really does just look like a normal, standard construction site house.
In the Alpine region of France, Bonnard lived in the glowing world of nature, happy children and pets.
Oh, this house looks awesome, though. This is the sort of house I was expecting to see in countryside France.
Happy children and pets, in the untroubled days before the world wars.
Dang, is this the actual guy that we're talking about, Pierre, on this horse with his hat? It always amazes me that there are photographs of people from like 1867, or this is probably 1880s or something, when this photograph was taken. It blows my mind every time. How many people had access to cameras so early that like so many people were just recorded for all of history? Because that's what it really is. It's like these people, these photographs will exist forever now. Like this one moment in time in 1880 is preserved forevermore because of this photograph. It's always so fascinating.
All his life, this man...
Thanks. So this is Pierre Bonnard. He looks like he'd be an artist. These fancy glasses.
Saw things through the innocent eyes of a sensitive child.
I feel like that's always how artists are the sensitive children, right? Like, there's never like the playground bully that turns into like the amazing artist. It's always the weak children that are good at art.
In his first years as a painter, he knew that his special quality was his natural and spontaneous vision. With fresh eyes, he composed the world into new forms.
These are really like hilarious photographs of them, though. I hope these are all like, not selfies, obviously, but like self-photographed. I guess that is a selfie. Like, are people coming to his house to take these photos? Who even had access to photos or cameras all the way back in this time? How do they have so many? Did they have like a family camera that they took everyone's photos with? Like, how do they have so many photos even back then? Just when photography was getting started, they've already recorded like their whole family life. It's amazing that people had this much film already.
And intense colors.
He looks a little upset in this photo, though. I'm so curious what his art's gonna be, because it's already, like, it's introduced us to this artist, but at this point, I still don't know the sort of art that he made. I feel like they said impressionism, and they have been emphasizing that he, like, grew up surrounded by nature. So I can only imagine he'll be, like, an impressionist. I don't know, like a Claude Monet or something, but it's just, I think it's funny that I haven't heard of him. This looks exactly like my cat today. That's so funny. This is more of that French architecture that I was kind of looking for. This looks more like what I was expecting. Oh, is this his painting? All right, hang on. So I'm trying to make sense of what we're looking at. I hope it zooms out a little further for us, but it looks like we're looking at his painting. It looks like we're looking through the window in a painting. It's pretty interesting. I like that detail that like you can see into their house. That is always amazing, especially with old paintings like this, like the amount of detail you can convey with just a few brush strokes inside of like some lines to make it look like the inside of a house. It's amazing. Oh, okay, so we're inside. So this window is looking outside. All right. Got a little confused there, but I think that's all right. Oh, and these are people. Are these like little gnomes? Like, look how big this person is compared to this chair. There's no way these are like full-size people, right? Oh, this one is a baby. All right. Did he paint children? Is that what we're learning? Oh, even more kids and a cat. So is he like a child artist? I need to watch.
His first paintings, the quiet recordings of intimate household life.
I really like this, actually. The light with this kid reading, that's a really nice painting. That is like household living, you know? Like that is what people during this time were starting to portray, is just the ordinary sort of aspect of life rather than the extraordinary. I guess that's the movement that Bonnard was a part of.
The family table and country scenes foreshadowed the themes which he developed throughout his life.
But what are those themes? Again, you know, like I'm just waiting here in like suspense. And what I think is funny is I feel like this program was made for people who already knew who Bonnard was, and I don't think they meant to keep me in such suspense. I think they expect me to already know what we're talking about. So the fact that I don't, I think just makes it more fun, more to unpack, I guess. All these close-ups they're giving us like aren't really even showing me what the painting is of, though. Like I didn't even know what I was looking at for a second. Yeah, these all seem to have like children or people playing or cats or all of the above, really. I guess it looks like he was portraying just like home life, country home life in France. Dang, what a card game are they playing? Even these cards look like the cards that we still play today, like exactly the same, honestly. All right, so if this is his work, he's doing like sort of impressionism, but a lot of indoor work. I feel like a lot of the impressionism I've seen has always been outdoors. It's always been in nature. That sort of natural, chaotic shape kind of lends itself to impressionism. So it's interesting to see these indoor scenes. You know, it's still done in this interesting style. I wonder what this actually has to say about like what school of art or what, trend of art he was emulating in all his paintings. I'm curious. I'm not that good of an art historian to be able to just call out the era of art that we're in right now. Yeah, these are looking more impressionistic. That's what I'm saying, but these are also outside. Oh yeah, these are totally. I really like these actually though. That's all we get. We just get two like zoomed in shots of his outdoor paintings. Oh well. I hope we get to see a lot more.
In 1890, Bonnard moved into a Paris studio on the Rue Pigalle with Gerard and Maurice Denis.
Dude, Paris during the 1880s must have been like the most wild place imaginable. Like again, why do all roads lead back to Paris in 1880? It's just there must have been so many intelligent people doing so many like artists, so many writers, all the interesting people of all the world it seems were in Paris in 1880.
Keen to enter into the exciting new era of painting opened up by the Impressionists.
Yeah, okay, so I'm starting to get more impressionism now that we're outside and we're seeing like the clouds and the vegetation. This definitely looks impressionist, which I guess isn't impressive for me to say now that the narrator has said it, but it wasn't making so much sense with all those indoor scenes. The art style is a lot more clear now that we're out in the open in these paintings. Dude, again, these like zoomed in shots are supposed to be like helping us, but like I can barely tell what's happening. Maybe that is the point. Maybe that's like how impressionism is like imprecise and it just kind of conveys the idea without having the exact, information. Maybe that's the whole point of this, is that it's showing you the up close of these paintings doesn't actually make any sense. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, like these dogs, like up close, you can barely tell they're dogs. I mean, maybe this black and white one you can tell. This other one is kind of just like a blurry shape. But from far away, obviously, it looks much better. But maybe that's what they're trying to illustrate with these shots. You never know. But the cameraman has a reason for taking these shots so up close that we see even the texture of the paint itself. I can't say I'm a huge fan of Impressionism. Obviously, I like, Monet and, all the outdoor scenes, but sometimes in scenes like this, it kind of just gets cluttered and you can't really tell what's happening. Again, I know I've been saying that for the past few minutes now, but like some of these crowds, it almost looks like AI in the sense that like nothing is really real when you look at it too hard. And, I'm getting that sort of sense from Impressionism as well. These are still good paintings. I'm enjoying this. I don't think we've actually heard a lot from the narrator in quite some time though, so maybe we just need more information.
Bonnard's lively humor dwelled with an affectionate interest on the busy life of the streets. The ladies in their...
See, okay, this is what I wanted to see, the whole painting. So this is pretty nice. This is like a crowded main street with all the ladies and their dogs. This is funny. This is, again, another snapshot of, like, French life.
Feather hats and flounces, the horse-drawn cabs and bustling life of the cafes and theaters.
I like this face of this building that's lit up, and then this side that's dark. That looks really good. But I don't know if all these details are really visible. That could, again, just be the age of this program, or that could be the intention of the artist. But for me, I don't know. This isn't the best piece I've ever seen. I've watched, this painting is worth like millions of dollars too, and I just I just exposed myself as having no art history cred whatsoever. Yeah, but now it shows us a shot of these curtains and just like how, I don't like, the word I have is like mishmash. It just looks like kind of nothing, but again, once you zoom back out, you can tell that it's curtains in front of a window.
In his landscapes, Bonnard began to expand in scope and depth, suffusing the luxuriance of vegetation with the soft light of an overcast sky.
Yeah, this is an interesting scene. I feel like not a lot of impressionistic paintings are done in this like composition style, I guess. But we have this like weird pond in the foreground that is kind of like 2D. I don't know. This isn't like the best landscape. Clearly Bonnard didn't get, I don't want to critique Pierre Bonnard by any means, but like clearly there's some three-dimensional aspects to this that he doesn't quite understand perfectly. Not that, I do either, but it's just, there is a little bit of awkwardness to this image just because of how the 3D is rendered. But, again, still pretty nice. Though, again, these details kind of just fade into chaos, like these branches and everything. These are nice landscape portraits.
In 1912, he bought a country house on the banks of the Seine, which he named Maroulotte, my gypsy caravan.
Dang, is this really his house? See, no wonder people like Lis could have made such nice art. Like, they lived in places that were so nice, Like, is it really any surprise that the people who live in, like, the really nice houses with the really nice gardens are also the people who got famous for painting really nice houses and really nice gardens, It's like no poor people are going to be able to paint, the richest estate on the land.
Every day he took long walks through the beautiful Seine Valley and often visited Monet.
Dude, this house is amazing. I do wish I lived here. This looks amazing. This is the French countryside that I wanted to see.
Who lived just across the river.
Dude, I hope it still looks like this too.
On the threshold of this world, he pondered deeply on his art.
I'm so jealous of the people who just got to, eat at this little table and look out over the scene, over the French countryside, their whole life. It's not any different than the countryside here in America per se, but it also is. There's not a freeway crossing on the other side of this river or anything, it's just peaceful. It looks so idyllic here. I know I use that word a lot, but I guess that's what it is. I guess 1960s French countryside is the ideal. I don't think anyone could even argue with that that is, take me back to the 60s French countryside, please.
He felt the need to learn everything anew and make a fresh start. Of that time, he said, I knew that I must commence again from the beginning. Color had turned my head, and almost unconsciously I was sacrificing form to it.
Color turned his head, and almost subconsciously he was sacrificing form to it. So he was sacrificing form for color? I don't know. Because this painting that they're showing as an example of it, definitely a lot more colorful, but there are not errors even, but look at this tray. Where is this tray even sitting, right? It's not on the table. It's not on this bench. It's literally just hovering between the table and the bench. I don't know if that's an aspect of, the impressionism, if that's the form versus color that he was just referring to, or if I'm just picking up on something that isn't there.
Approach to the composition of.
This is supposed to be a silver platter, right? Probably, I assume anyway. So how do you make something appear silver with only colored paints? That is a great question. And it looks, more or less like how it should, I guess.
A new approach to the composition of.
Oh, and this jug of water. See, yeah, that's another level, right? To be able to make glass come alive with just color, that's impressive. And you can even see the reflection of the background in the top layer of the water. That's this is pretty good. All right. Pierre Bonnard, you're a pretty good artist.
Came from that year of struggle and re-examination of purpose.
See, yeah, this is me. This is who I want to be. It's just this guy in the middle of all these flowering plants in the middle of France somewhere doing his painting. That is the life.
Hidden under the intense energy of his orchestration of color, Bonnard's mastery in developing new terms of space composition was not generally recognized until Cubism and abstract...
New terms of space composition. So is that what I was saying earlier, how the tray wasn't on the table? Because that is more expressionistic than it is impressionistic, but I don't know, I didn't want to call that, but I guess that's interesting that the narrator is saying the same thing.
Expressionism had run their course.
Again, just some more really long shots of up-close paintings that I can't really tell what I'm looking at without seeing the big picture. Oh man, I like this though. This is another cool little scene. First off, I have never seen any of these. I am yet to see a painting that I actually recognize, which is fun. I'm definitely learning all about this new artist. This is going to come back one day. I'm going to recognize a Pierre Bonnard in the flesh one day. I know it, just because of this. But I guess I am learning a new artist. It's just these are interesting
A
paintings.
year later, in this same room, this painting heralded the resolution of these.
Talk about color. Look at this color. This like pinkish, reddish, like violet. I don't even know how you get this color, man. But it looks good. It contrasts so well with the light, pale green that we see coming from the
problems
outside.
of form. The atmosphere is charged with an undertone.
It's wild that this woman even has a pink shirt. Like, did people in 1890 or 1880 have this pink of shirts? Like, does that make sense to ask? Like, did pink shirts even exist in 1890 like this? Like, this color pink? I see people wearing this color pink shirts in, like, Walmart all the time now. But, like, 1890s French countryside, do they still have pink shirts like this? I don't know. But I guess he painted it like that.
Tone of mystery, attention quivering with resonant color, the range between interior.
Dang, and lipstick. Not to mention the shirt, but she also has same colored lipstick. I wonder if that was also a case.
Shadows and full sunlight holds an endless
Look at this little cat in the sun. That's great.
interplay.
Again, like there's so much like bizarre detail that goes into these impressionistic works because of, how the brushstrokes work and everything, how the detail is even conveyed. This cat is barely a cat, but it still looks like one. I guess that's the trick of impressionism, but it's funny to see it up close, I guess. Because I didn't even notice this in the original painting when we looked at it as a whole.
This interplay.
Dude, and I really feel like I get this woman right here. Like whatever she's looking at, like I feel like I get that look. What's on this table? Is that a pizza? Is that what the impressionistic pizza looks like? You know what? I bet it looks good. It kind of looks like it's low on sauce, but I'll give the painter the benefit of the doubt. I feel like I was in the same position as this person a second ago. And yeah, I just gotta comment on the music again. Way to make it like creepier than it had to be. Like if we're not only like zooming in on this like blurry, incoherent like face, but we're also listening to like the eeriest plucking of a harp you've ever heard. This is actually a funny piece. These people look so much more modern than the rest of them. I don't know, maybe it's just like what they're doing, but this looks like a scene out of like, I don't know, 1990, not 1890. Thing, is that someone in the window? I can barely see that, but is that someone? The way he does space in these images or in these portraits is kind of off. I don't want to critique Pierre Bonnard, but his tables, the 3D dimensions of his tables always are a little wonky. Like, what is this plate on top of this other plate for? And then like the angle that this book is at, like he's got this pitcher of water that looks like a good pitcher of water, but it all looks placed a little wrong. I don't know. Okay, there's totally a face there, right?
Using only parts and details of the field of vision, the objects seem to be seen from a changing point of view, allowing no fixed distance to settle between the subject and...
That's a lot better way of putting what I was trying to say earlier. It's like there is just like no real fixed positioning for like the three-dimensional objects, at least in the foreground of a lot of these.
The viewer. By arranging his viewpoints upon a vertical order, he discarded the classic formulas of perspective composition. Now, each object came direct to the eye.
See, that is interesting. So instead of assembling the image as like a collection of different items in, all in the right place, every specific item has been placed there so that the eye may look at it at that angle. Like these plates have been drawn specifically or painted specifically so that you can see that they're mostly empty with the exception of this one apple or whatever. That is interesting. I don't know if it's like perceivably effective. I feel like this just kind of makes his art look halfway between impressionistic and expressionistic, but I mean, I guess that's the artist's, choice really, but I guess that's just like the crutch that I feel like a lot of non-artists learn to recognize is like, oh, like he's not abiding by like three dimensions properly. Like a lot of people would say that just makes him a bad artist, whereas, in this they say he's ignoring like the spatial tradition and he's rearranging things based on how he wants to see, which is he trying to actually do that, or is he trying to emphasize each of these objects, or does he just not fully understand like foreshortening and like three dimension, or like three dimensions in painting? Does he actually not know, or is it like his artistic vision? That's always the question, and I feel like that's always what I want to know is like, does it look that way on purpose, or did he just not know how to make it look better? That's my question, I guess. It is funny to see like what he lived in versus what he painted though. Like it does not look as nearly as ideal once you see the real thing versus what he painted. All paintings romanticize like the world that they portray, but I was just saying it earlier how idyllic these areas look and how even in real life they don't compare to the paintings. Oh crap, is this the room? Yeah, this must be. It's even painted that color too. Wow. I didn't even know that they were going to show us this, but this is pretty cool. See, they should have been showing us this the whole time. I feel like all of those paintings that we just saw from inside his house could have been shown. Like, I guess we could have been shown the rooms that they took place in. I think that's so interesting to see this room still arranged in pretty much the same way. That's like, I don't know, there's something amazing about how the painting preserved this room versus how the actual room itself was preserved. I think you can also learn a lot about Impressionism and just like his artistic style from seeing what he had to work with and what he ended up producing. There's just a lot to be learned from seeing the inspiration behind the art a lot of the time. And hang on, I'm just looking at this bathroom, I think is what it is. This is actually like a pretty cute bathroom. They have a little bowl. I guess it's not a sink. This is what you would have to wash your hands in before people had like running water. It's just like a little bowl for water, and there's a little thing beneath you that holds water maybe. And then what I'm really interested by is just like the tile on this floor. This looks like such a retro, like somebody must have renovated this house in the time between. Maybe not. Maybe that would be so interesting if this was like the original flooring, tile flooring. It's just like these different colored, I don't know, black, red, blue, yellow tiles. Like that's just such a retro pattern that it would make it a lot of fun to know that that came from like 1860.
Contrasts of light give material substance to unexpected, iridescent hues. Original combinations of intense colors, brought together with unerring intuition, charge the changing patterns with vivid life.
What the narrator just said is just one of those like art statements that like people who don't understand or don't engage with art as much just like it kind of goes in one ear out the other. Like that whole like sentence was kind of just like artist jargon. But I understood at least parts of it. Like, yeah, he is using these very interesting color combinations, and it does look like, I don't know, it was a lot of just intuition about how to mix it and how to make the forms work. I'm enjoying this though. I feel like I already know more about Pierre Bonnard than like any other impressionist painter.
Intuition charged the changing patterns with vivid life. Color was the touchstone by which Bonnard probed the limit.
Yeah, this is a great use of color though. Even just like this drawer, to see like the red reflected on this side and like the clear, like what's supposed to be white, but it's obviously greenish on this side. And then like the total clear white on the top to give you a sense of the color. Like the back is not illuminated by any color, but it's also not bright, whereas the top of this desk is just bright, so it's pure white. It is good. It's a good use of color. It is, I guess the narrator is telling the truth.
Limits of perception.
See, again, yeah, you're getting to see the gradient of light over a bent surface. Even, this guy's back, just seeing like it go from that pure white to that, yellow to that like red pink to that like almost like brown color all the way by his arm. it is technique. It's not like, I don't want to say this is the most impressive blending of color I've ever seen. Like, yeah, he gets how to blend color, but I guess he's doing it effectively is what really matters. But it is an effective painting, I guess. Yeah, but even the way he like conveys like the paleness of this guy's skin, like look at his feet, and like this one leg is like this like whitish like brown. It almost looks like a birch tree, but then on his other leg has this like streak of pink going through it that makes you clearly understand that it's like a fleshy color. It is. It's a very interesting use of color and form.
The central field is constantly shifted. No sooner is a gesture begun than it is cut short by another, merely glimpsed.
That's a good way to put it, that a lot of this is just like the suggestion of something being there rather than like the perfect finished form of it. Again, this is impressionism. Even this shot, right? Like nobody even can tell what it is. It's just like water rippling in the reflection. I guess this is the bath water maybe, but this is a pretty impressive just like mix of color. I don't even know how to put it, but it's like you look at it and it doesn't make any sense. But somebody had to have put this paint on the canvas to make it look like that. And to them, it did make sense. So it is impressive that somebody was able to paint this with the forethought or with the understanding that people would be able to figure out what it means or what it is.
Bonnard never shouldered his lyric sensibility from the full...
See, that is kind of creepy, though. This person has, like, just pitch black eyes. Like, come on, we can have some pupils or something.
...full force of color. Taking as his subject the private scenes and objects of simple domestic life, he had transmuted the newfound freedom...
This is an interesting, just painting in general, though, because this could be a man, but it kind of looks like a woman, but she's bald. That's just, there's a very clear, interesting story behind this. Well, why did this woman end up bald in Paris in, 1880 or whatever? What's the story behind this? This is one of the few paintings I've seen that has like more to it than just like a landscape scene. I hate to say that because obviously there's a lot to unpack with all these paintings, but this is like, I'm just so curious now.
...of the Impressionists into lyric terms.
But also look at that pop of like pink on her forehead. Like again, like all you need is the suggestion of like pink to tell you that it's flesh tone. It is impressive use of color. And all the color behind him, even what looks like bricks, are all blue, like so that the skin stands out.
This line of development, he brought the usage of natural light and color to the threshold of abstract art, evoking...
Brought the use of light and color to the threshold of abstract art. Now, I like that. Like what we're looking at now, I hope we zoom out more so that we can actually see what's going on. But that is an interesting motto or mantra or thing to be going for, is to try to, play with color and light as much as possible in paintings. I think that is what really earned a lot of these early artists, their praise, is the way that they played with light and color.
Dimensions which have not yet been fully explored.
Yeah, like this is a really cool use of color. Like look at the red that they're using for the roof, and like the yellow also. I don't know. And then there's some green, but it only comes in right at the sides. And then the yellow that they use for the sky even. It is pushing color to the limit, I would say. But at the same time, you still perfectly understand what this is portraying. You still understand that we're looking at a French villa in the countryside somewhere. But yeah, the color is almost so hard to like pick up on. Yeah, you can barely tell. Like when you look at anything closely, you can barely tell what it is. But the whole scene makes sense.
Toward 1939, Bonnard moved to the little house...
1939, all right, so that's when he was older.
...in the south of France, where he spent the rest of his life.
Dude, same. That's what I want to do. Just spend the rest of my life in the south of France.
Much affected by the war and the death of his wife. In his final years, his only confidant was his neighbor, Matisse.
No way. So his neighbor was Matisse. I wonder if that was like a coincidence or if they were friends. I feel like they would say that. If they had known each other beforehand, there's no way that's a coincidence. They must have been friends beforehand, and they like moved, or like he advised him on where to move or something. Otherwise, that would be like a crazy coincidence. Yeah, I know it zoomed in on this painting, and we got a look at it from afar and a close, but I, again, still don't know what we're looking at. Like, the music is making me think that I should know exactly what we're looking at, but I don't. Yeah, again, even this shot, like, is this like a stadium? It looks like the Colosseum that's like on fire. This is like a Rorschach test. Like, what do you see within this impressionistic painting? Does this not look like the Roman Colosseum being like blown up or something? It's probably not even close to that. It's probably like a house in a tree or something, but that's what it looks like to me.
He wanted the texture and substance of every square inch of his painting to be strong and sumptuous, even at the expense of recognizability.
Yeah, see, that's what I was saying, is that you can barely recognize this up close, but you can definitely pick out the colors in different, like, groups of colors, I guess.
Discussing his work, Bonnard said, "The painter's art gives a human value to objects."
Okay, now we're, like, getting almost fully into expressionism with this painting. This is, like, again, yeah, pushing color to the limit is to put it lightly. Like, we're looking at this blue tree. Like, we're pretty much color is the only thing we have to inform us on what's going on in this painting.
And reproduces things as they appear to a human eye. And this vision is full of changes, full of movement.
Yeah, this also, that is another aspect that I have not touched on, but this impressionistic style does a really good job of capturing motion because shapes are already morphed when they're moving, so when you have these shapes that don't look set in stone anyway, it kind of makes things look shifty, even if they're not supposed to be. So I am enjoying these paintings, but I feel like I am being shown too close of a view of them. I know that's partially the point, is that it doesn't make any sense up close, but I really want to see these pictures fully, and I just don't even understand what I'm looking at half the time. This is a great shot. So yeah, I truly don't know what's going on in this shot. It looks like it should be like a field of flowers, and these might be like tree trunks or something, but this is like true expressionism now. Yeah, this looks like a sky, but like, again, we are past the point of making sense through color or form.
As in life, there is a mystery. Color is not to be explained. It is a gift of awareness. Form rises from human relationship.
Dang, did he just quote what I just said? Wow.
Life and awareness look beyond the precise laws of matter. Bonnard brought these points together, tumbling the delight in life into the discipline of art, content to know that exercise and involvement are enough. Serenity was his gift. Each time a master in art reaches these levels, the world has been made anew.
Oh, okay, so that was one painting that they just showed us a bunch of times, a bunch of close-ups of this one painting. See, I don't know if I really buy into it. I don't know if this is like his masterwork painting to finish this whole documentary program on, but it it definitely gets the idea across that he's trying to use color and form. There were some other paintings of his that I enjoyed from the beginning of this much more, but I don't know. Interesting overall. We have 8 seconds left. All right, yeah, that was it. So that was pretty interesting. I feel like I definitely learned about a new artist that I'd never heard about before. But to be honest, like, even though his artwork is nice, his impressionistic style kind of is just the same as most other impressionism that I've seen. I didn't get a sense of why Pierre Bonnard specifically was like an innovator in the artistic scene, you know? Like, it feels like he was good at making paintings that, you know, are evocative of like Matisse or, you know, Monet or something, but I don't know what specifically about Bonnard earned him a film documentary. I get why people like these paintings, but I don't get what distinguishes Bonnard from the rest of the Impressionism school, I guess. kind of sad that like this didn't really do that. I mean, I guess this helped establish who Bonnard was or what he painted more than it did why he was so special to begin with. So again, I think they expected me to already be a fan of Bonnard when I was watching this rather than a person who has no idea who he was. But that's what happens when you watch things from 1965. But at the very least, I think I know more about Pierre Bonnard than than I ever did before this, and I hope to one day see one of his works in an actual museum. But I think for now, we're just gonna cut to black.